Welcome to the fourth episode of the Honor Society, covering all things Ring of Honor. As always, Stephen Afield, the ace of the Turnbuckle Tavern, and I am joined, as per usual and not per usual, by three amazing dudes filled with honor.
Yo, what's going on, guys? I'm Sneed, one of the founders of the tavern. You'll find me on the flagship, the debate, pretty much anywhere. I can pop up on Raw Down as the president because that's who I am. When we still hold that title, it's here. Get some of that, J-Bone.
Come get it.
And we have we'll defer to Nick Storm so FREEMZ can get that feud in.
Of course. I wouldn't want to
We have
disrupt
a guest joining us though.
Yeah. G'day, guys. I am the Australian icon, if you will, Nick Storm. I love Ring of Honor lately. I've been loving it, or like the AEW's Ring of Honor, I guess. You know, had Dalton Castle and all that stuff like that. So I'm a big fan, and yeah, love the Honor Society. So glad to be here.
Glad to have you on. And it's FREEMZ's turn to go do some introduction.
That's where I think Sneed's got hollering at today.
Jeez.
Hey, what's up, everyone? I'm FREEMZ. Sorry I'm eating on stream. It's because I'm so dedicated that I literally leave my job and come straight here. No breaks in between.
Big brained and the absolute man filled with honor. Thank you for being here, Nick Storm. Lovely to have you here in the room. We're going to be getting Sneed back in the room in a sec. He's going to take care of that holler net. But while he's taking care of that holler net, let's take care of some housekeeping. Make sure to like and subscribe to the Turnbuckle Tavern. We continue to give out hours and hours of free content. So all those things go a really long way. Leave a 5-star review. Go to turnbuckletavern.com. Buy some merch. We finally have some Honor Society merch for you to purchase. We have an Ace of the Tavern shirt, a President Sneed shirt, and from what I understand, an approved Turnbuckle Tavern FREEMZ shirt. Big brain confirmed.
That is true.
Yeah. I need to send over those designs so we can get that out. But yeah, I got a couple designs now. So.
Oh yeah. Love to see it. And you guys check out the live streaming schedule we have for you. We have Monday. We have the fucking GCW show when applicable. And I know this Monday coming up will be a big show coming up because this weekend's filled with a lot of GCW. Tuesday, of course, we have the Fig Night. And we have the Frauds on the Raw Down coming up at 10 p.m. Eastern. Wednesday, we have the AEW wrap-up show. And, of course, you are tuned in right now to the Honor Society. Thursday, 7 p.m. Eastern. You can find myself, FREEMZ, and Nick Storm sometimes, and Sneed. So, guys, make sure you guys are getting in here. Support the show. Make sure you like and subscribe. But let's get right into it. Let's talk about all things Ring of Honor. And I want to start with the Ring of Honor championship match that we saw at Battle of the Belts. Jonathan Gresham successfully defending his championship against Dalton Castle. FREEMZ, give me your thoughts on this match and just your overall impression of how they presented Dalton Castle.
It was good. I feel like he got over for sure. The crowd seemed to be into him. The match was, wasn't a bad match. It's pretty good. I love that the chicks were running back and forth with him in the ring. That was pretty cool. Yeah, no, it was good. It was good. I didn't think Dalton Castle was going to win going into it. There's just no way. But I do think they're trying to see how over Dalton Castle can get with like an AEW crowd. So,
yeah, I thought for sure it was the Dalton Castle coming out party. That's what I wrote down in my notes. He looked great. He looked like he belonged. He didn't look out of place at all. And I thought for those that watched Dalton Castle in the past, this was just more of the same. He's a quality wrestler with a good character and knows who he's supposed to be in the ring. But for those that didn't know him, I thought it was a good first taste of what he can bring. Nick, what was your impression? I'm assuming you checked that Battle of the Belts, correct?
Yeah, dude, I liked Battle of the Belts for what it was. I'm going to preface this right now. Me being on Honor Society, it makes as much sense as Satnam Singh showing up in AEW. So I want to get that out of the way. But I have seen Dalton Castle in the past. I think his thing with the baby chicks or the boys It's so funny. Even as funny as to me and my girlfriend have an inside joke, and she made custom cloth goods for baby chicks for my figures, which is fantastic.
We need a picture of that. We need pictures of that.
I will send it right after this. But I thought this match was fantastic. Dalton Castle just peacocking as he normally does, and I think I saw a match with Danhausen and Dalton Castle, and it was beautiful, and that was my introduction. And so hopefully we get to see more of him in AEW, and I thought this match was fantastic all around. So.
Yeah, I thought the same thing, and I agree with both of you. I just have a question to ask both of you right here. I mean, are you guys okay with it not main eventing the show? Do you think it took away from the presentation of the Ring of Honor Championship, or do you think it was just like, all right, they have to put the AEW Women's title in the main event?
I don't think it took anything away from it.
Nick, you agree with that?
Yeah. I think it was the main event purely because I think the women's title should be held at around that standard in the main event level compared to the other belts that they had on the card as well. I will say I was zoned out a bit here and there through the Thunder Rosa and Nyla Rose match because it didn't pique my interest as much as the Gresham Dalton Castle match did. But I think in place of the card, I think it was good putting in the middle because I think all around the card is pretty short. It's like a Rampage 1 hour thing, right? So
right, yeah.
But yeah, overall pretty good. And yeah, where it fit on the card, I think it was perfect.
I think it was more of a disservice to the women's match than it was the Gresham match.
Interesting. You think because it took away from the crowd's experience with the match, it was like they couldn't get up for it?
Gresham is just a spectacle. I mean, everywhere he goes, he's going to be a show stealer unless he's on a card with FTR and the Briscoes. I mean,
oh yeah,
yeah. And we talked about that in Supercard of Honor that, him and Bandito had a great match. It just was overshadowed by the fact that FTR and the Briscoes just had that much better of a match. But I agree with both of you. I sat there when they came out. I was fully expecting them to main event the show at Battle of the Belts. But the more I unpacked it, the more I thought about it. The Women's Championship, the Women's World Championship is called that for a reason. They're trying to put the title on the same pedestal, and it's an AEW show. So they have to treat it as such. You don't want the Ring of Honor title main eventing over the AEW World Championship. So I was okay with it. In an hour show, it's not like it opened the show. And also, there's been precedent set in the past that you could open the show with a world title and still hold the prestige to it. So the other thing that you did mention, Nick Storm, was Satnam Singh showing up at Battle of the Belts. We had
that's me on the Satnam Singh of the Tavern.
Yeah, I mean, this guy, he came out. I mean, to me, this is how he should have debuted in the first place. I thought it was a 100%. Much better presentation on him. I wish this is our first look at him. I don't know if you guys agree with that.
Yeah. His original introduction wasn't it,
Mm-hmm. I thought this instance in AEW was great because he came down to the ring charging and he double choke slammed Dalton's little chickies, chickie babies or whatever he calls them. He double choke slams them. He plays basketball, dribbles Jonathan Gresham into the mat constantly. He looked fantastic here. I even put on my story and I was like, maybe I'm going to get some hate for this, but it's what I think. I thought Satnam Singh looked powerful here, and I hope we see this more because he is a 7-foot giant and he should be as powerful as he looks. So,
I agree. The more I thought about it too, the reason I had an issue with it, when you turn the lights out, you want it to be someone that everybody knows, everyone's excited for.
I thought it was going to be Cesaro or something.
Right.
It got me hyped, right?
So once we get past that, I think we can all agree there is a need for a big guy, not only in AEW but Ring of Honor, and if this guy can learn the craft and be willing to put the work in, why not? So we had Lethal as a heel. I mean, in this whole segment, I thought he was stellar as well, and I think pairing him with Sanjay Dutt was awesome. You mentioned the chokeslam of the two boys, and then Satnam sent Dalton into the steel steps, so he absolutely dominated everyone in the ring until Samoa Joe came out with that lead pipe. So I loved this segment. I thought it was an awesome way to cap off what the main event for Ring of Honor was on Battle of the Belts, and I thought it was a nice presentation having these two guys finish, I guess, what was the Ring of Honor portion of the night together.
Yeah, seeing Joe and Gresham holding the belts up at the end was pretty cool.
Yeah, that's a cool visual overall, so I love it.
So we're going to get into the scoop. I wish Sneed would get in here because, I wanted to hear his thoughts, but maybe when he pops back in, we'll get him to talk about the Ring of Honor championship.
We'll interrogate him all throughout. It's okay.
We will, but let's get right into the scoop, guys. All right, so this is our news segment of the week where we'll be talking about the biggest news in Ring of Honor. And we thought we would have had the biggest news of all to talk about a television deal, but alas, we have to wait just another week for that. But we do have some news to get into. First things first was the fact that Jonathan Gresham was too hurt to compete at Progress Sunday and Monday in London. So according to Fightful Select, Gresham was checked for a concussion after he defended the Ring of Honor title successfully against Dalton Castle at AEW Battle of the Belts 2. The match was taped Friday, so he was unable to do the things he needed to do to be cleared to wrestle in London. They are advertising his return to defend the Progress Championship May 15th, so maybe they think he'll be okay. But this is what he had to say on Twitter, apologizing to the fans.
My events due to an injury. I have not been cleared to compete. So I do want to apologize to Progress and the fans for not being able to make it this weekend. I really wanted to, but my health's come first, and I have to just take a little time off. So, once I'm cleared, I will definitely be back, and I really look forward to being back and working with Progress and performing for you guys. So, if you can just please keep me in your prayers, I really appreciate it. So, I'll see you all next time, and thank you for understanding.
First of all, gentleman and a scholar. You want to talk about a man with honor? He doesn't have to get on there on social media and apologize. The man got hurt. Everyone should be asking him and sending him well wishes, and I'm sure they are. But the fact that he's going out there and apologizing for not making an appearance, that's just a different type of human.
100%. Like Jonathan Gresham just seems like that kind of all around kind of. You wouldn't expect it from seeing his in ring work. You'd be like, oh, this guy's gonna freaking murder me if I accidentally spill my cup of water on his shirt or something like that. Something silly, some dilly dallying. But dude, he's just like a genuine guy, and it's great to see. I love seeing wrestlers being open like that, especially on Twitter and on the social medias and stuff like that. Apologizing, he didn't have to do it, but he did it anyway. And I hope he recovers all and well, and wishing nothing but the best for him. So,
what about you, FREEMZ?
Yeah, man, I hope he can get healthy. He definitely seems like a class act. I don't know Gresham as much as I feel like you do, because I feel like he kind of came around as I was not watching as much. I kind of remember seeing him around a little bit, but not at this amount. Like, I'm seeing a lot more of him. But everything I liked, I was saying, I like the way he's carrying himself here, and apologizing. And
yeah, it certainly seems like it's not going to be a big long-term injury, but with the concussion stuff, you always get a little scared with that because it can loom its head later on down the line. I'm hoping that they give him enough time. And maybe it's a blessing in disguise, the fact that the Ring of Honor, doesn't have a television show to need the champion to be competing on a weekly basis. We can still get John Gresham on AEW television in different capacities. He doesn't have to wrestle. And I also talk about this when I talk about AEW. The roster's so bloated that you can almost hide guys with injuries because of the fact that they don't have to compete every week. So unless it's a serious injury, you don't even have to disclose. Like, I don't think anyone would really know if John Gresham was hurt because I didn't catch anything in the match. I didn't see him get hurt. It could happen anytime. Concussions are tricky like that.
Yeah. 100%. That also goes to show, like, I think there was like something with Matt Jackson's like ankle or something like that, and we didn't see him on TV like 1 week, and then it was in BTE, and that kind of blew me away. I was like, you couldn't even tell some of these wrestlers are injured because they keep it so under the radar like that. I think it's good because we know probably Roman was injured after WrestleMania, right? We haven't heard much of that, have we? So I think it's good to kind of light under the radar, I guess. But
yeah, he's an important part to what Ring of Honor is going to be doing, whether they announce a television deal in the next month or so or even later. You need John Gresham healthy and ready to go when the time goes for the official launch of Ring of Honor, and he needs to be ready to go. So keeping him healthy is really important, and that's like kind of the bad part about Tony Khan allowing these guys to work all these different promotions, because there's a risk. Like, we watched a guy like Jon Moxley wrestle, in GCW and doing death matches elsewhere. Like that's in the spirit of who these wrestlers are. They want to be out there and working their matches. But a guy like John Gresham, you kind of hold your breath because he is sort of the franchise player for Ring of Honor.
100%.
Yeah, so
he's
hoping
probably the brand right now. I'm guessing like since he's he's like the unified undisputed champion, right, of Ring of Honor.
Yeah.
So he'd be carrying that brand right now, and yeah, he's all got it, man. He's good.
Yeah, I think he represents everything they want Ring of Honor to eventually be and what it was. He's a nice bridge from the past to the future. And I think I mentioned this before. If you give this guy 4 or 5 inches on him, he'd be Vince McMahon's dream. I just think it's like he's a guy that has to almost double prove himself because he's on the shorter side. And he does. Trust me, when you watch him in the ring, he's a bulldog out there. He rips people apart. But I think it takes a little bit for him to be there. And that probably adds to, I guess, his tenaciousness in the ring. Or tenacity, I should say. But yeah, I think he's great, and I'm hoping that he's good. So, any final thoughts on John Gresham before we move to the next news story?
No.
So just want to make a note here in the next part. Ring of Honor TV airs its final episode on Sinclair Broadcast Group Station. So, with the Tony Khan deal, there was a specific end date, and that was this week. They've been airing just reruns and past matches on the Sinclair network. So this is a 10-year run on Sinclair Broadcast Group stations. And then this weekend's episode of Ring of Honor TV was the final that will air on Sinclair stations. And Dave Meltzer reported in the Wrestling Observer Radio that Sinclair did not have interest in continuing to air the product after selling the wrestling company to Tony Khan. So we know Sinclair is out of the running. Not that we thought they would be continuing. At this point, we know that Ring of Honor and Tony Khan are looking to greener pastures, and Sinclair.
I mean, you'd hope Sinclair wouldn't be on this new deal.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I guess it was out there. There was already a path of least resistance you can pursue with them. But obviously what they did with Ring of Honor, they kind of held it. There was not a lot of growth that happened in the time that Sinclair owned them. So it was status quo. They had every opportunity to do what AEW has been doing, and they never took that next leap. So to get away from Sinclair is a good thing.
Any growth that they got during the Sinclair era was because of the Young Bucks and Bullet Club and all that left whenever AEW started.
Right.
And that's what killed it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, Sinclair purchased Ring of Honor from Kerry Silkin in May 2011. Believe it or not, it was all those many years ago. I remember reading about it on the dirt sheets, which is kind of crazy to even think about. ROH TV began airing weekly on Sinclair-owned stations and some regional sports network beginning that September in 2011. So when Tony Khan announced the purchase of Ring of Honor on March 2nd of this year, we had immediately a thought Sinclair is gone. But then there was also on the side, people were saying maybe he'll do a transition and do a TV deal with Sinclair and keep it going. Maybe sign a temporary deal for a year or so just to have Ring of Honor continue and have somewhere to be. Obviously, Tony Khan has another plan in mind, and I agree 100% not having Sinclair have anything to do with this.
That Ring of Honor show is terrible, too. I never watched the Sinclair broadcast. I just kept watching the pay-per-views. I mean, I would watch the broadcast and record it, but it was always behind by a while, way
and
sometimes you would watch it and it was showing stuff before the previous pay-per-view.
Yeah.
And it was oh my gosh.
What?
Yeah, out of order. There were matches there were guys that were released already, and they were showing. So what they would do is they would put current matches that, FREEMZ was saying, that happened probably 3 weeks prior, and then they put an anthology match where they'd have Low Key versus whoever from 2004, and you're what am I watching right now? I don't understand.
Right, okay.
Is there a storyline progressing? It was more just a kind of a catch-all, almost like a compilation video on YouTube of just watching Ring of Honor.
Actually, worse than YouTube, because YouTube was the only way to keep up with the storylines because of the wrestlers' vlogs and stuff.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, I was only watching Ring of Honor for Danhausen those last few months anyway, so I didn't get much out of my Honor Club subscription, but I couldn't get my finger on when it was airing by any means as well. I didn't know because it was changing every day, every time, wasn't it?
Yeah, dude, if you were trying to watch it, it was almost impossible. I was reading results on Wrestling Observer, and they were filming 4 or 5 shows in a row, and it was just impossible to follow along. It's just they didn't want you to be a consistent viewer. It's just everything they did was the wrong thing.
Dude, you know what's funny as well of that? When people, when Dynamite goes like on a Friday or one of these weird times, people think it's the end of the world. But this is what Ring of Honor fans had to deal with for the past, however, 10 years since it was on Sinclair. So that's hilarious. People need to take it for granted, you know.
Yeah, I know Tony Khan has all this money, and he came in with, and purchased the right talent and made sure that it was appropriately funded. But it wasn't like Sinclair was, claiming poverty. They had the money to do what they could have done, and they just didn't. They didn't invest in the product. As we welcome the President Sneed back into the room, hopefully his Wi-Fi is working better.
Look, just let me know if it's not. I can't see it on my end, but I'm having holler net issues today, so.
You're looking stellar and beautiful on my end, so we'll keep you up to date on that.
Yeah, you're stunning and beautiful.
Well, that's all.
Don't let anyone tell you any difference, Nate.
So, Sneed, we were just talking about how Sinclair kind of finished up their television deal. The final episode of their Ring of Honor television series will air this weekend coming up, featuring 2011 match with Roderick Strong and Eddie Edwards, Jay Briscoe versus Jay Lethal match from 2015, and then we're going to have a John Gresham versus Jack Draper match from 2021. So, again, just like a compilation of old matches, just filling out the void of the contract. Nothing new of note, but if you're signed up with their streaming service, I guess you could still be consuming this, whatever product you'd like to call this.
Yeah,
I have no clue if I am or not. Sorry. I'm sorry to go. My lag is so bad. But I don't even know if I'm still subscribed to Honor Club or not. Because I don't even know what's happening with all that. Mike doesn't know what's happening, but who knows?
With the whole Sinclair thing and Warner Media, we talk about it on the flagship. Chad brought it up, and it's going to be something that we bring up every episode until it's changed. But it's a crying fucking shame that the Briscoes are not even in a mention of being signed, and that they're scared to bring them in, and Warner Media has an issue bringing them in. Tony Khan's not talked about it at all. And this has to change.
Yeah, I agree with you. And the fact that no one is asking Tony Khan these hardball questions when he does interviews is a shame. They should be having a conversation and asking Tony Khan, what's the deal? I mean, stand by your decision. If you don't want him in, if you're going to support Warner Media, people can understand that. We may not agree with it, but ask him the question so he can answer it and have a final say on record, because we're kind of looming out here. We don't know what's going to happen with the Briscoes, and that's a shame. They should be a part of Ring of Honor, past, present, and then also the future, in my opinion.
There's already rumors that Impact is looking at them.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
But that's where people go to die. I mean, we talked about Jay White. I think it was a couple of weeks ago. Jay White continues to be – he's there. He appeared back on Dynamite this week, and everyone was like, oh, that's where Jay White is. Like, he's been in the States doing stuff, and it's like, I don't know. Impact is just this purgatory for wrestling. It won't ever change.
Yeah, that's what it feels like, at least, like, especially now. And it didn't fully hit me until, like, you, Sneed, and Chad talked about it on the flagship. Like, we don't see Briscoes on AEW. We see Gresham, we see Samoa Joe, we see Yuta, we see all these Ring of Honor talent. Even Willow Nightingale, we saw her, right?
Yeah.
I don't know if she's Ring of Honor or not, but it makes no sense that the Briscoes aren't on there. Like, it just has like this void that needs to be filled, and it's the Briscoes in AEW.
Well, Sneed can explain the reason why. Sneed, explain the reason why. For those that don't know why, explain why they're not allowed on TV.
I remember when it happened.
So there was some ill comments that were made that, I mean, and we talked about it on the show. There were comments that were made that they've made their amends for. They've apologized profusely. They've done charity. They've donated. They've done everything to atone for what they've done. And like we talked about, Chad mentioned, Excalibur, he got a month's suspension for pretty much the exact same thing, but they still allow him to be on there. But Warner Media is not going to allow. They're going to be scared of the Briscoes having them on, and it's sad because, I mean, Excalibur. I mean, I love Excalibur, but it's the same thing.
Right. The big difference is more people know about the Briscoes thing because they were on their way to WWE. It halted their WWE signing.
Wow. Okay.
it's just annoying. They were in character, and they've done a lot to amend for it. It was almost 10 years ago.
I mean,
Right.
Vince McMahon was in character when he had his little backstage with John Cena. We never hear about
wearing a
that.
do-rag. You know what I mean? Like, there's been so much going on. If you want to hold guys accountable for what they do on screen, the list is super long. I don't know if people really want to do that.
Yeah, and the thing
So-
with all that as well, it's like the Briscoes have made amends and they've done literally everything in their will to better themselves and as humans and wrestlers, and of course with higher ups as well, like AEW and Warner Media and stuff like that. But the bad thing about like internet and cancel culture is people always gravitate to that one bad thing that someone did, and they don't follow through and see the changes that they've made to, you know, better themselves as humans and stuff like that. So they always hold on to that one thing. And we've seen it a lot in cancel culture. Like, there's not much other people can do about this. It's like, what do you want? You know?
I don't know. Have you guys seen the tweets? Do you guys know what the tweets were?
Yes, I do. I've seen them. I mean, I'm not going to repeat them here because I would
they're
like to
pretty-
remain on Honor Society for a time being.
Yeah.
But they were
They're
in
pretty-
character. Like, the thing is, they are in character. They were playing a certain role. And I think it's almost like they play their character so well that people believe that's who they are.
Yeah.
Like,
I
I think
just
it's almost a credit to who they are as wrestlers. They play kayfabe is real for them. They are like legitimately who they are. Feels like it. They're like an Eddie Kingston light from the Delaware area. You know, that's who they are.
Yeah, I just want to. The only reason why I even bring it up is like, although I think that they should. I mean, I'm not saying I get it because I don't get it, and I think that it was a long time ago, but I just don't want to put it at the same level as like Vince McMahon or Excalibur's because it was like it pushed a little bit further than that because of the threatening violence part of it, but they were in character, like you said. I don't know.
I mean, at the same time, though, how can you let these two guys go to Impact, man?
Yeah,
How can
it
you let
came
them
off
go to
in 1
Impact?
second.
To a lot of people, Briscoes are still unheard of. Like, there's a wide audience who don't know of the Briscoes, and that was me before Supercard of Honor, and I made sure I got myself cleansed up on all the Briscoes, like history in Ring of Honor and stuff like that. There's a wide nation, in the international as well, who don't know of the Briscoes, and I feel like AEW could be like that pedestal to put them on to really show them, but Impact is the complete opposite of that.
Yeah, I completely agree with you, Nick. I mean, this conversation can continue every week. I'm okay with that, Sneed. We need to at least talk about the Briscoes and keep them in mind for everybody that's involved with Ring of Honor because they're important to the history of Ring of Honor and what they're doing now. So I think we need to continue to have that conversation. But let's move on to the next topic here in the scoop. We have Brody King appearing on the Wrestling Perspective podcast with Lars Fredrickson of Rancid. Great podcast. Shout out to them. If you guys are into punk music and also some wrestling conversation, he's a huge fan. He's friends with CM Punk, so he has a lot of connections in the business. He had Brody King on there, and he talked about his time in Ring of Honor and potentially joining the roster when the time comes.
Yeah, I think it's more the latter. Like, you know, if something happened and there was a storyline that I was asked to be part of, I would love to go back. I really enjoyed my time at Ring of Honor. When I started wrestling, I wasn't really familiar with the independents. I wasn't really familiar with a lot of wrestling. I watched pretty frequently until I was about 13, and then I kind of fell off completely. It was kind of when I was in my like almost mid-20s when Punk was doing the Straight Edge Society stuff that kind of like brought me back in. And then from there, I started to watch Ring of Honor. And then when I started wrestling, then I really started watching New Japan and Ring of Honor and stuff like that. And it was Ring of Honor that really made me a wrestling fan again, because, you know, how could you not be? It's some of the greatest wrestling to ever exist, the early 2000s Ring of Honor stuff. So to be part of Ring of Honor, I felt like that was, most guys cut their teeth in Ring of Honor and then they went on to do great things. So, you know, hopefully that is also going to be my trajectory. Fingers crossed. Yeah, I would like to go back if I was needed. I had a couple shots at the world title that I didn't really get to clutch up.
All right, so we got Brody King, a really good interview. If you guys look, it's about an hour long, so I just grabbed the Ring of Honor part. But, you know, hey, he's in AEW right now, and you guys talked about on the flagship about how they're not really being used appropriately, and that's a different story for a different time. But Brody King has a pretty recent history in Ring of Honor. Sneed, we'll start with you since you just joined the room a while ago. Would you like to see Brody King back in a main event fashion in Ring of Honor? Do you think he has a place there?
I do think he has a place there. I wouldn't mind seeing him go back over there, especially if what they're doing right now in AEW is Fuego del Sol. I definitely feel like
alumni.
yeah, exactly. And no hate towards Fuego del Sol, but I just think there's a lot more for House of Black. So, if they're not going to do anything and there is a place for him in Ring of Honor, absolutely. I wouldn't mind seeing him over there. The guy's an absolute beast.
I love him. Great look. I think he could be a main event guy. The fact that he didn't win the ROH title during his little main event run there was surprising to me because you got other guys that I guess are lesser than. But what about you, FREEMZ? What do you think about Brody King potentially being back in Ring of Honor?
I mean, yeah, I could see it happen. I don't want it to happen now or like immediately, but
no, I'm with you, FREEMZ. Like, I don't want to see it happen right now either. I want to see Malachi and Brody go on a tear, man. I want to see House of Black just be in tag team main event. I want to see them in AEW tag team main event. That's what I want to see.
I was thinking about this the other day and I wrote it down. And of course, I'm like famous for deleting my notepads without saving them. The way I view Ring of Honor is like a launch pad. Like it's somewhere, it's not developmental and it's not AEW, right?
Yeah.
Brody King doesn't need to be Ring of Honor. Like he's not like Samoa Joe. It makes sense. He's a legend, right? It makes sense to have him over there. Brody King is like where he needs to be right now, I think.
Yeah, Brody King was just in Ring of Honor. It's not like Samoa Joe coming in after however many years, But yeah, speaking on what Sneed said, like I'd love to see them, like House of Black, completely dominate the tag division. Like if you remember the pre-show match or the buy-in match for Revolution, the House of Black were on, and they put on like an absolute spectacle with Eric Redbeard, Park, and Penta, and I thought that was a great match.
Oh yeah,
and I think they can do that and then some in the tag division. I really want to see that. Don't know where this Fuego storyline is going to go, but who knows? Yeah, right.
I'm like thinking about it. Like you talking about the tag division in AEW or in tag division in Ring of Honor?
AEW.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. All right, I was gonna say because like where the House of Black is now, the only way it would make sense to bring them over there is to lose to someone from Ring of Honor, right? Like as far as like a booking standpoint, and I don't think House of Black is in that spot right now. They need to stay hot. They need to stay fuego.
Not to bring the conversation to a different topic, but I think it's worth mentioning. There have been rumors and I guess rumblings that they may put the AEW tag titles back on FTR, which means they would hold the Ring of Honor tag titles and and the AEW ones. So that being said, is it a good idea to combine both tag divisions and like with the two champions at the helm of both, or is it important to establish them as their own entity right now?
With the tag titles?
Yeah, I feel like if FTR is the champion of both Ring of Honor and AEW, it may just be it makes Ring of Honor feel lesser than, in my opinion, and maybe I'm just overthinking it.
I think you're overthinking. It doesn't matter much until AEW or until Ring of Honor has a show. If Ring of Honor had a show, I would feel differently about it, but they don't have a show.
So you mean just like once Ring of Honor has a show, take the titles off FTR and then or let them do their thing in Ring of Honor and then take the AEW titles, separate them when the time comes?
Exactly.
All right, that makes sense to me.
I know.
I have a feeling. I have a feeling they're doing this. I won't be surprised if FTR wins the AEW tag titles, and then they have all those belts, and then
Well, I think this is the perfect time to do that with Ring of Honor not having a show. It's the perfect time to just have, it's a great story to have FTR have all three belts because they are going for that whole we're the best tag team in the world. Yeah, and
there's no better time than right now too. They are hot, man. You hear that crowd? They are insanely hot.
Oh man, and it was such an easy face turn for them, and the crowd would they just ate it up when they turned face, man. And all it took was a mention of family and a firing of Tully. That was it.
Nah, people were wanting it. They could have done whatever.
Yep.
All right, so I'm going to skip around a little bit because the transition to FTR just is right there. So arguably the most intriguing match of the Owen Hart tournament thus far was announced on Dynamite this week. We have Dax Harwood and Cash Wheeler facing each other, going one-on-one on Dynamite. They build this as Well, both of them had said this is once in a lifetime. They're never doing this again. Who knows? Wrestling, it may happen again. What are your thoughts on this? This immediately, Bret Hart came to mind. I mean, you got the Owen Hart, obviously, tournament. And then you also have two guys super close. They're not brothers, but they might as well be facing off against each other. It had Owen and Bret written all over it. It really does.
It'll happen again when they're in like their 60s or something, I bet. but this is a match that, like Excalibur said in that one rap god like breath, right, where he's going through all the matches, skimmed over this super quick, and I was like, wait, hold on, man with the mask, go back and say that again. Saw the graphic on Twitter. It blew my shorts off, to be honest. I think I want either one of these guys to go to the end of the tournament or either win it. Either one of the FTR guys, maybe Dax. Who knows? I think it could be stellar.
I think that Ace, you said that Bret Hart immediately comes to mind. I think this is probably when we see Bret Hart because of what Big Time Wrestling announced. I
don't know the news story too. That's our next scoop story. So I'll show it in 1 sec.
Yeah. So I'll go ahead and talk about it. But I think that, with Big Time Wrestling putting Bret with FTR against Brock and Pillman Jr. with Arn, they're not going to get it first. So we're going to get Bret before then. And I don't think there's a chance that we don't see Bret before then, if it's going to happen.
Yeah, I agree with that. I mean, it's the same thing with Moxley when he came back at GCW. You can almost guarantee he was coming back the next Wednesday or the Wednesday before they did the Hammerstein Ballroom show in GCW, because you knew GCW wasn't getting Moxley before AEW did. It was like the writing's on the wall. It was almost like Big Time Wrestling put him in a spot where you have to show your hand, and this may be the perfect time to debut him.
Yeah,
I just wonder what I think he's going to do the same thing they did with Regal. You know what I mean? I don't know how they play this or who wins the match even. Someone's got to win the match.
Bret Hart just starts slapping them.
Not only does someone have to win the match, someone has to win the match and go on to have another match.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, the match is going to end in a handshake. We know that. I could see Dax or Cash both getting the quick roll-up win. I thought the Punk match, despite the tights, was paying homage to Bret Hart in a big way. Because the way it ended, I go back to Bret Hart versus Roddy Piper at WrestleMania 8, how it ended in the backslide pin off of the turnbuckle. Those Bret Hart matches, a lot of them end in these sudden pinfalls, and he just trapped them real quick. And it's just a technical match. I could see this match ending that way, and then them getting mad at each other, and Bret Hart being the uniter to get them to be like, all right, you guys are the best team in the world, and I'm going to lead you back to prominence.
Mm-hmm.
Keep you there, I should say.
Yeah, I can see that. If they're going to do it, then they're going to do it before June 10th. So,
yeah, I'm excited for this match. I had said I posted on Instagram earlier and said this has the chance to be a top 10 match of 2022. I don't think it's going to be match of the year, but I think it's going to be in a lot of people's lists of match of the year when you get to December 2022. Like, wow, remember how good that match was back in May or April of this year. Absolutely amazing. I think they're going to go out. Think about what Dax did against Punk in the opening match a few weeks ago. Like, Dax can go, and so can Cash. It's going to be a really good match.
Mm-hmm. Just on free TV in general, I think this is going to be like a match of the year. It's on Dynamite, right? It's going to be on. It's going to be on Dynamite, yeah. So it's going to be like match of the year for Dynamite probably. This is fantastic. So I can't wait.
Yeah. Any final thoughts about this match here? I mean, do you guys have usually with tag teams, I couldn't think of another tag team that didn't have like a distinguished, better wrestler. For every Shawn Michaels, there's a Marty Jannetty. For every Edge, there's a Christian. I mean, you can have the argument now. Christian went on to have a much better career. For every Jeff, there's a Matt Hardy. Do you think there's a better Dax or Cash, or do you think they're just on equal playing field?
I think promo-wise, just because it got him out it got him really popping and really got the buzz around the Briscoes match. I think Dax maybe, to me, that's what I feel. That's what it comes across. To me, it feels like Dax is the Shawn. But I hate to look at it in that way because that only comes with negativity, right? Because Marty Jannetty is not wrestling much now, I think Cash and Dax are like both really equal in that regard, though. But promo work, I just love Dax so much.
Yeah, you could say that Dax is the Sean, but like
Mhm.
the distance between Dax and Cash is not the same as the distance between Sean and
Yeah.
Marty.
Yeah,
Like,
exactly.
which I would say, I would actually say Cash is probably the better in-ring performer, in my opinion. But it's just like that's kind of subjective.
Exactly.
I just
Yeah,
like
it's
how
all
aggressive
opinion,
he
right?
is.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. I think honestly, no matter how you slice it, this match is going to be really good. And no matter who wins, I think there will be tension at the end of it. And then Bret Hart's going to be the guy to ease it. And then you off to the races. Then you have, Bret Hart on TV every week. I guess you want to talk about getting your flowers. Bret Hart deserves to receive flowers in a big way and have a nice final run on television, similar to William Regal's getting right now. Obviously, we're not going to see Bret in ring action, but the next best thing is to be presented on television in a way of reverence without being embarrassing and bring up the Montreal screw job. They're just doing it and paying respects to the whole roster is riddled with guys that have looked up to Bret, have said out loud that Bret is their favorite wrestler growing up, and they continue to want Bret to be involved in wrestling. And I mean, you can't dispute the knowledge he's going to bring to the in-ring quality, like not even on screen, just like the fact that a guy like Darby Allin can have a conversation with Bret Hart in the back after his match and get feedback live and in person. I mean, damn, like the ramifications are going to be huge. And we may not even know the extent of them until way, way down the line when people are writing books about this 2022.
yeah, it almost has to be Bret because there's no other reason to do it. Like, this doesn't really progress any story. It doesn't, like, they've already started kind of a storyline that they're going after Jurassic Express, so.
Yeah. So let's move on to the final story of the scoop, because we did jump the gun a little bit with the Bret Hart, and I love it. It flowed naturally, and that's what we do here on the Honor Society. It flows naturally, and we're going to keep it going. But
Speaking of the Bret, one more thing as well.
yeah, go for it.
You were talking about like the impact, like people still wish Bret was around today. That like wrestling, that reminds me of I think it might have been the Revolution, post Revolution media scrum, and it was CM Punk just in tears saying, "I'm so grateful for this career I'm having right now, this last ride. I wish I could give it to Bret." So like that on its own,
Right.
yeah, man, the love is there for Bret. There's a lot of Bret is greater than Sean's out there. So, yeah, I'm all here for it. Love it.
Hopefully we'll see Bret Hart on Ring of Honor if he's still the tag champs of the show.
Higher
starts.
chance to get attacked by a crowd member, I think.
Oh, man. Well, FTR saved his ass when that happened, so it's full circle here, guys.
Oh, really? Okay, yeah.
Beat the guy's ass and left him like he's never doing that again.
Maybe Dax loves Punk more. More than Punk. Sorry, not Punk more.
Dude,
Maybe
truly?
he loves him. Yeah.
Dax Harwood, any chance he can get, talks about his love for Bret Hart. Like, he wears Bret merch all the time. Almost every interview you see, he's wearing a Bret shirt. They wear those Bret socks. I don't know. I'm not sure who makes them. I think it's on WWE Shop.
Yeah.
The
I
Bret
love
socks
the
they wear under their
little
boots.
rivalry that Punk and Dax are having on Twitter about it. Like,
Yeah,
I love Bret more. I love Bret more. It's great.
Well, even Punk today was wearing, in his Instagram story, he was wearing a Bret Hart sweatshirt. So the adoration isn't this like fake thing. Like, all right, this guy's coming in, he's a legend. Like, people truly love him, and I think they want him to feel the love and how much they respect everything he's brought to the business. Because let's be honest, the last 15 years, I mean, or even more than that, it's been a rough go for Bret. I mean, the thing is, he doesn't seem like a happy guy. Like, he has a lot. He has a lot that could have went much better for him. I mean, it all started with that. I mean, I guess it started elsewhere, but the kick from Goldberg that ended his career, and then he had seizures, and then, I mean, unable to walk, had to rehabilitate himself. He did kind of come back for the WrestleMania run against Vince and stuff, but that, to me, I blocked that out. We don't talk about blacking certain things out. That's not Bret Hart, who I want to remember in the jorts winning the U.S. title. Like, I remember Bret for 1997 being the best technician in the ring, and I think that's what they want to bring to the forefront here in AEW and possibly Ring of Honor.
So I feel like that's Bret at his prime.
Yeah.
In the jorts.
Well, that's how I knew of him, which is really funny. Growing up watching wrestling, watching his match with VKM. So,
Oh my
and
god.
then having to go back later on and realizing, wow, Jort's Brett was a thing. Remember the Nexus storyline? That was a thing.
God, like, but Sting is 63 wearing the singlet. He could wear a shirt. He could have wore the Brett singlet or the whatever, the singlet with the pants and a shirt. I'm all about aesthetics here. You can't be wearing jorts and socks.
Jim
Well, let's do
Cornette
this.
would get mad at the T-shirt wrestlers.
I know this
There you
isn't
go.
really Ring of Honor related. Sting looked cooler wearing a long sleeve shirt and sweatpants than he did wearing a singlet and a t-shirt. I'm sorry. On AEW last
yeah.
night.
Fair point.
Because
Fair
like
point.
usually to me he looks like the fat kid in the swimming pool.
Fair point. And that was my argument on the debate about Stone Cold. Like him wearing a shirt as a shirt wrestler, I never wanted to see Stone Cold go there. But before the conversation goes too far off the rails, let me go with our last story with Willow Nightingale, who Nick Storm so appropriately brought up earlier. She was on Denise Salito's Wrestling Observer show. So she talked a whole bunch about just, appearing in Ring of Honor prior to Tony Khan purchasing Ring of Honor and just all the feels she had going into the match at Supercard.
I was kind of like, I don't know what's next, just like everyone at home. Like I was sitting at the table with my boyfriend watching TV when Tony Khan announced that he now owns Ring of Honor. So I was like, I don't know what this means for me. I have no idea. Like I was waiting to see what was next like everybody else. But I would say maybe like a couple weeks ahead of Supercard of Honor, he reached out to me and asked me if I wanted to do the show. And I was like, obviously, yes, please, thank you. Let's figure this out. Let's get it set up. And when I found out I was wrestling Mercedes, it was like, okay, so this is like could potentially be like a career making match, right? Like that's a spotlight that is now already elevated from what I was doing before. But now I'm wrestling like Mercedes, who in my mind is a big role model. Like I've done seminars of hers before. Like I've been like, let me pick your brain and try and learn from you. So to work with her, I was like, all right, got to get my work boots on, put on my big girl pants and just.
All right, Nick Storm, initial reaction to Willow Nightingale. I mean, we've only seen her a few times. She's been in AEW. We saw her at Supercard of Honor. What's your thoughts on her, I guess, in her future being in the women's division of Ring of Honor?
Man, she's over. If you even heard her response on Dynamite, she's over. Like, I think what she was talking about in that interview, this is a career-making match. I think that match really lifted her up, because I didn't know much of her before then, and that Mercedes Willow Nightingale matches, I was like, oh, okay, well, yeah, she's got something for sure. And yeah, I think what she brings to women's wrestling could be good. So I'm excited.
What about you, FREEMZ? How do you feel about Willow?
I'm gonna be honest with you. I haven't paid much attention to her.
Yeah,
especially I've been very busy over the last few weeks. Everything I've heard from her, I like. She looked good in the ring. I'm glad she's excited. Like I said, there towards the end of Ring of Honor, I didn't watch a lot of it or hardly any. So she's kind of been out of my peripheral.
Yeah, my biggest takeaway of that interview, obviously, was she's excited. She's pumped to be a part of Ring of Honor, but also it was a weird perspective-taking activity where you were thinking about all these people that were involved in Ring of Honor were not involved in the negotiations for Tony Khan to purchase them.
Yeah.
So they were in the dark. They're all watching Tony Khan purchase it. Like, I guess that's good news for me. Like, they didn't know. So that was kind of eye-opening to me that there were so many people, like obviously even like a John Gresham may not have even known where his next big opportunity would come from. We know he's going to be involved in Progress, and he does all different touring, like House of Glory. He goes all over the indies, but Ring of Honor is where his bread is buttered. That is like his main staple, and now he's getting a consistent paycheck from both, whatever, it's the Tony Khan bank account, so it's Ring of Honor, AEW, no matter how you slice it, it's coming from the same spot. All those guys had no idea prior to being purchased.
Yeah, that's that actually really puts it in a funny perspective. Just imagine being a Ring of Honor signed talent, just watching AEW like you would every week, and just seeing that like, oh, well, hey boss, he's my new boss. You know what I mean? Like, yeah. I could only imagine the kind of talk that started with other Ring of Honor talent as well. But
what a roller coaster ride it was too, because those guys were all released from the contract around December. Ring of Honor announced that they'd be operating as a super independent. That's what the quote that they used, that they'll be bringing talent from elsewhere, and then have their own titles and lineage, but they would have no consistent roster till Tony Khan got involved. And now it's like, okay, I was with Ring of Honor. If he wants the lineage to continue, Willow was someone they put a lot of stock into making her a woman that's built around in that division. And you want to talk about as a launch pad, FREEMZ, I think Willow could use Ring of Honor as a launch pad for a much needed addition to the AEW women's roster, because they need someone to step up who's not named Britt and who's not named Thunder Rosa. I mean, maybe Jade's next one up, but like, you got to start packing in some future stars there.
Yeah.
So
absolutely.
Yeah. So let's move on to top honors, and we're going to be talking about what did we like best with John Gresham and Dalton Castle. So hopefully when we get a full-time television deal for Ring of Honor, we'd be able to pick and choose what our favorite match of the week was. But while we're grasping at straws as far as content goes, because we're only getting the dribs and drabs of what's on AEW and what's in the newsletters of the dirt sheets, I want to pick topics to at least have a conversation about. And we had the biggest title in Ring of Honor on the line. We talked about it in the opening of the show, John Gresham taking on Dalton Castle. Start with you, FREEMZ. What was your favorite part about this match, and what was your takeaway? I know you talked about it before, but I guess pick something that you really enjoyed about it.
So, as I was watching the match, and as it was ending, you have Samoa Joe, Gresham standing in the middle of the ring, holding the belts up. I've noticed that I see a lot of Samoa Joe in Gresham, like especially with that octopus submission. Not the same type of tenacity, obviously. Like Samoa Joe's always kind of the aggressor, even just the way he talks, just the way he carries himself, but the way they wrestle. I thought it was super cool. It feels like, even though it wasn't, but it kind of felt like a passing of the torch kind of thing with those two.
Wow.
And I really liked that. It was like almost like, it was like art. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. When it's done right, wrestling is art. And I think that that was something you mentioned. You remind you of Samoa Joe. I see a lot of Bryan Danielson and John Gresham. I think he has like a mix of both. And I think it's a beautiful thing. I love John Gresham, and the more I see of him, the more I love him. And I think he's the perfect guy to start around. And who better to give him a big rub and pass the torch than Samoa Joe, who's been there in the trenches through Ring of Honor thick and thin, started there, established the stuff there, and he went on to do bigger and better things. But
the biggest difference between Danielson, and why I compare him more to Joe, is that Danielson was never scary. You know what I mean? He never was like the big guy. He's like always respected and viewed as like, you know, a great wrestler. But Samoa Joe was scary, and Gresham is scary. He's a big, thick dude, comes out in a scary octopus mask. You know what I mean?
Oh, like, dude, that get-up is so sick.
Yeah.
So cool.
I mean, it says a lot from the dude. I don't even know how official he's billed at as far as height goes. I mean, if he stands at 5'9", I feel like that's being – but you know what? It's almost like Macho Man felt like he was 6'4", but he was only 5'11", because he presents himself in a much better way. It feels like he's the biggest guy in the room.
Have you seen the meme where it's like Satnam Singh next to Jonathan Gresham? Satnam's like,
I sent
girls
it to
who
you,
are
Nick,
5'11", and yeah, girls who are 5'11", and then Jonathan Gresham's like guys who are 5'11". I'm like, God, it's not easy for a short king out here. I'll give my 2 cents on the match.
Oh no, I saw the format was when I'm teaming up my bone crunchers with my ECW figures.
That's it, yeah.
So funny, because it's so true. You'd have your RVD ECW figure, and you'd have your bone crunchers, your Titantron, or even like your.
That's what it feels like now with Mattel and Jazzwares. Even like it's sometimes it has that disconnect. But,
Nick Storm, get your guitar. Play Fig Night for us right now. We just became Fig Night.
Should I?
But yeah, my favorite part of the match. I agree with you. I thought it was like a passing of the torch. I felt like. I loved the Dalton Castle coming out party. I mentioned it before. I felt like it was a good opportunity for everyone to see what he had, and it wasn't just like, oh, he's on the card, he's squashing a guy quick. They gave him time, They put him in a very important spot, and he felt important. And I think maybe it's just being biased because I love Ring of Honor and I love Dalton Castle going in, but I felt like he was presenting it in a main event way on par with other guys on the card.
Yeah.
100%.
Also, another takeaway.
Mhm.
We know that Gresham's going to carry the silver belt.
That's true.
Yeah.
So
Because
that
he only
was
had one of the belts.
Yeah, that was a
Yeah.
big takeaway. And like he's going.
That is true. Good notice, yeah.
Yeah.
I really liked the back and forth in this match. I think there were probably fans in the arena who like weren't that aware of the two or of the Ring of Honor partnership that much, and then gradually towards the end of the match, seeing and hearing the fans get behind the match, you know, I don't know, it was special to me, and I really liked it in that aspect. Being like a big mark for Jonathan Gresham and Dalton Castle, it was cool to see.
It's interesting you say that because on my notes, my only negative was the back and forth. It was almost too
gotcha,
much.
Yeah, there was that one clip on Twitter that I saw where they were in the corner and they were like hitting reversal after reversal like a video game.
I was talking about when they were like dodging each other's strikes. It kind of
that's it.
for too long. Yeah, it was too much.
Yeah. But apart from that back and forth, any other back and forth in the match?
It was pretty good. It was pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, I think we can all agree it was a good match, a good representation of what Ring of Honor, what they want the AEW audience to know, that Ring of Honor is going to bring hard-hitting action, guys that can go out there and have, these quality matches that mean something. And then obviously keeping with the code of honor with the shaking of the hands, as I showed before. I'm going to pull it up again with the picture with Dalton Castle and John Gresham shaking hands. We talked about it in the news. Hopefully John Gresham's okay. I thought this was a nice representation, and they both look great here. So moving forward, I just hope there's more John Gresham and Dalton Castle on my TV on a weekly basis.
Mm-hmm.
So let's move on to honorable mentions, and I cannot wait to what FREEMZ has to say. Maybe Nick Storm, really quickly, while we're talking, you can look up a Ring of Honor match you'd like to recommend in honor of Sneed. So every week, in alignment with the history of Ring of Honor, we will recommend one match each for viewers to check out. So if you guys can check the Discord, please join the Discord, by the way. It's the top link on turnbuckletavern.com. You can check out the matches we've picked in the past. So if you're just joining us for the first time this week, have no fear. All of the matches we listed are listed in a nice, neat table. If you want to know what FREEMZ has to recommend, or Sneed or myself, go back and check. And we also use it for, organization, so we don't pick the same match. So I'm going to start with my first match. I usually let the guests start, but I'll give Nick Storm some time to look up maybe a Ring of Honor match he wants to talk about.
Baby.
Oh, he's ready already. My match to recommend is Chris Hero versus AJ Styles on March 22nd, 2014. And this is a later years Ring of Honor hidden gem, in my opinion. This is my favorite level of AJ Styles. I think the conversation, I believe, started on the Raw Down a few weeks ago when they were just talking about how AJ Styles is almost in like coast mode, where he's just sort of mailed it in. He's just wrestling the color by the numbers. I think that's how Chad was saying with AJ Styles, how he wrestles matches. This match was not that at all. He was still the tenacious bulldog going out there. Hero and Styles both had, at this point, recently returned to Ring of Honor after being gone for a while. Chris Hero had been gone for 2 years. He was working in NXT. It just didn't work out. He couldn't keep the weight off. And the creative couldn't find anything for Cassius Ohno to do. And then Styles hadn't wrestled in Ring of Honor for 8 years, so he had been gone for a while. He was in TNA for the time being the headliner, doing the best work of arguably his career, wrestling guys like Kurt Angle and Samoa Joe on that stage. To top it, this match was in Dayton, Ohio, which is Chris Hero's hometown. So the hometown crowd was behind him. They were stoked to see him after being gone for 2 years. Hard-hitting match. It didn't have as many, explosive, crazy, death-defying moves, but I'm not a mark for that type of wrestling. I just want it to be hard-hitting and make sense and be logical, and this match had all of that. The other thing I want to mention about this match is finding the ending of a match like this is hard because you don't want to do it too early. You don't want to do it too late. And I think this is the perfect example if someone wants to say, how do you construct a match that makes sense and can have the finish happen at the right exact time? This match had it. I think oftentimes in like Ring of Honor past, like those matches were great. But if you had to nitpick some of those matches in early 2000s and late 2010s, they would blow past the logical ending of a match and just like, we want to get another spot in. We want to get all of our other moves in and just like another kick out. And it's just like, you should have ended it 5 minutes ago and it took away. This match didn't have that.
I remember the match.
I'm going to tell you the ending of this match, but this was a sick match. Go back and check it out. Chris Hero does not get as much credit as he deserves, not just at Ring of Honor, but wrestling in general. The guy is stellar, absolutely amazing. And then AJ Styles, like, you know, one of the best wrestlers of all time. So
I had a Chris Hero t-shirt in high school.
Hell yeah.
The Superman logo.
Wow.
Yep.
Yeah.
And I actually remember that. I remember that match. The crowd was like super behind it. It's a really cool match to watch.
I will look for the link and post it in the Discord if you guys are interested in checking it out. So if you guys are listening to this and you're like, oh, I need to check that match out, and you should, because we wouldn't be recommending for any other reason. But FREEMZ, without further ado, what's the match that you were recommending for the week of April 21st?
This one's interesting because this is a match that I watched last week for the first time.
Wow.
And it's from 2019. It's a Ring of Honor match that I missed, and it's from G1. It's Jay White versus Okada.
I was there live, FREEMZ. I have the poster to prove it over here.
That is an amazing match. That is an amazing match. So if you haven't watched any Ring of Honor, this is super current. But these you're going to see them pretty much as they are today. You're probably going to see both of them pretty soon, given Tony Khan's recent announcement. Dude, what a match! It doesn't get much better than Okada.
Agreed.
It shows how much Jay White's not being used now by Impact. Dude is a stud, man.
Yeah, just to speak from the perspective of being there live, the experience of seeing a guy like Okada, I was so looking forward to seeing everybody from New Japan come here, but mostly I wanted to see Okada live, and just the entrance with the whole presentation of it, and then the match delivered. You mentioned it. It was a great moment to see. I won't say the end. I mean, I'll just say it anyway. It happened 2019. Okada winning the championship at Madison Square Garden, celebrating with the confetti coming down. It's one of my favorite moments as a wrestling fan. It's funny because being such a WWE fan growing up, I didn't think that wrestling existed outside of it. And seeing Okada and Jay White stealing the show, and it's timely because Jay White mentioned last night that he single-handedly sold out Madison Square Garden.
Madison Square Garden.
Go back and watch this match. FREEMZ, great choice.
Yeah. I'll sorry, I'll sound off here. Sorry, I missed my cue, man. I'm delirious. It's 10 a.m. No sleep. Forgive me, Lord. But my match, when you said think of a Ring of Honor match, my brain went to two, and I went with this one. It is Adam Cole versus Bobby Fish at 2017's Manhattan Mayhem. Now, if you guys I don't know if you guys have seen this or not, but
I've seen that match from, and it is a great choice, by the way.
Thank you, yeah, dude. It's a great freaking match. This is one of the first Ring of Honor matches I think I've ever watched, but just because it's accessible, it's free on YouTube as well. Blessed be YouTube, thank God. But this is great. Bobby Fish, one of the underrated key components in the Undisputed Elite now, I guess. He's a great fighter as well. I don't even want to use a wrestler because the stuff he uses in his matches are very MMA-like. They're very tactical as well. You can see where he's coming from with a lot of these shots. And yeah, overall, this is a great match. This is for the Ring of Honor World Championship. And Adam Cole, I think, retains it right at the end. And the whole of Bullet Club come out. Bully Ray comes out. It's a fiasco. Briscoe's come out at one point, I think, as well. And Sneed also comes out and comes back to the Honor Society. Sneed, hello.
Hey, how's it going, guys? It's been a night over here, so we've been doing.
Good to see you
back.
You,
man, we've been doing some restarts, and it's we're just trying to get through it tonight.
Yeah, listen, I mean, it's the perfect timing. You're here. Tell us your honorable mention as far as match you want people to check out.
So this is something I have been going back, and like I've said that I was never very up to date, on what was going on with Ring of Honor. I'm going back and learning history of Ring of Honor right now. And this is something that I learned about. I knew about it before, but read about it. Have been reading and doing research. And FREEMZ, I'd kind of like to have you talk about it because I'm sure you know a lot about it. But the match is it's Ring of Honor versus CZW in the Cage of Death match, the War Games match.
Yeah.
But I know that they had a lot of history before that too. So, but this match itself, I mean, there was so much that happened in this match, man. Because, and I'll go through the people that were in it. So for Ring of Honor, it was Homicide, Ace Steel, Adam Pearce, BJ Whitmer, Bryan Danielson, and Samoa Joe. And for CZW, it was Spider, Nate Webb, Necro Butcher, Chris Hero, Kingston, and Claudio.
Wow. Holy shit. I gotta watch this.
It was
It's epic.
Oh my god.
Yeah, it was like the Chris Hero versus Bryan Danielson part of that's so good too.
Yeah. I mean, the whole thing was crazy. Because War Games, I love War Games anyway.
War Games.
And it was War Game style. They had JJ Dillon come out and do the coin toss.
Great.
And I mean, there were heel turns within the match. Danielson turned heel, joined CZW in the match. I believe at the end of the match, we had Cornette turning heel. It was it was so
Cornette
wild.
turning heel?
Yeah, I guess he turned. Yeah.
Okay, well.
I guess he was commissioner of Ring of Honor at the time.
Yeah.
Oh, right. Okay, that's right.
It was really cool. It felt really like watching like the locker room brawls and like people jumping the barricades, well, whatever you want to call it, barricade. But
yeah,
it was all that shit was cool.
But the match, it was like an hour long. Like it was long. I mean, it was bloody and it was good, man.
Well, it's more than just one match. Like this is a thing that lasted for like a whole year.
Yeah, and that's what I was saying. Like, I know there was a lot of history, and they had a lot of history with the war before. I think this was almost the end of it.
Well, it actually ended with a West Virginia native. I don't know if you knew that or not.
Didn't know that.
Yeah,
All
BJ Whitmer versus Necro Butcher.
Wow.
Was the last match of the CZW ROH thing.
Rest in peace, Necro.
Shit.
Yeah.
Yeah. All you need to tell me to watch the match is that Claudio's in it, and I'm all over it. So,
watch Claudio and Chikara, man. If you want to watch some funny stuff,
dude. All right, I need to get into more Ring of Honor stuff. Like Sneed, you're going back and watching like all the history and stuff. I think I need to do a whole cleanse like that because I didn't know this whole Cage of Death thing was going on, and with greats like Danielson and Claudio in the match, to name a few. Like, wow, I'm missing out on a lot of stuff here. So.
Yeah, the crazy part about doing those types of matches, they were doing them in small events. I mean, GCW does crazy stuff like that because they're in small places too, but they'd be in these ballrooms in Ring of Honor, and like the cage would be exactly like inches from the ceiling, and they're like having to duck under a chandelier to be like, that's how gnarly it was at the time. But
yeah,
it added to the aesthetic, in my opinion. It made it feel like, oh my, one of these guys can truly, like, they're laying it all on the line for you here, and it felt that way.
Ring of Honor fans were kind of torn. Like the fan base was kind of divided on it as well, because it was like, I don't like death matches kind of thing.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
But I wouldn't say divided, but definitely there was a little bit of a rift there.
Which is what CZW was known for, right?
Yeah. I was in high school, so I was all for it.
Yeah.
Oh wow, yeah.
So
I actually had another match selected, but the reason why I didn't pick it, did someone already say Bryan Danielson versus Kenta?
Do not believe so. I have the list in front of me, and yeah, it wasn't picked.
So I purposely wanted to pick like New Japan versus Ring of Honor, and for some reason I thought someone picked that one already. But
yeah, so in the Discord, guys, like I mentioned before, join the Discord. It's the top link on turnbuckletavern.com. There's a lot of good times going on in there. Make sure you guys click, and while you're there, possibly buy a shirt. Maybe leave a 5-star review somewhere. But we have a list in the Discord under the Honor Society channel, where you can check out all these matches and just be like, all right, what did FREEMZ say on week 2, the second episode? And I want to go back and check it out. Make a playlist for yourself,
cool.
whether it be on Daily Motion, YouTube. Go out and buy the goddamn DVDs, maybe on eBay. There's a lot out there, guys. Consume, support independent wrestling. Any final thoughts on your honorable mentions, or are you guys ready to move to the final handshake?
I just want to say, guys, if you haven't joined the Discord yet, Tommy Boy reruns all frickin' day.
Yeah.
No, but I'm seeing in the Discord now, the Honor Society and the tab with all the matches. This is actually helpful as hell. So I'm going to use that for sure. Thanks for that.
A lot of good information in the Discord. A lot of fun.
Yeah.
A lot of fun.
logo
Most of
tech,
all,
dude, a lot of stuff.
it's fun. And Nick Storm is making reference to the fact that I had been playing Impact matches because they did the Impact figures on Fig Night. I put on a playlist of Impact matches, and I guess it ran through, and I went to go eat dinner. And Tommy Boy just started to play on my YouTube. So he's like, this movie is amazing when you put it on. I was like, it was complete accident. I'm glad you're enjoying it. I'm Americanizing your movie taste.
It was great, especially because it was 420 here. So I think you were
indulging.
Partook, if you will. I was indulging. I was celebrating the holiday. Hello.
With that said, let's move to the final handshake and let's indulge and get all of our shit in, guys. So as we bid you adieu, just be aware our next week's show will be April 28th, 2022, coming to you live, 7 p.m. Eastern, YouTube, Twitch, Facebook, Twitter. Make sure you guys are liking, subscribing, checking us out. And if you want to watch this, it's not available audio. You have to check out the video. So make sure you guys are here. And what better to do than being here live, comment with us, and have a good time and talk about Ring of Honor. We'll continue to talk about the latest news of Ring of Honor, tying in Ring of Honor history as usual. We may have a TV deal by then. We may not. We certainly will have the results of what happens with Dax and Cash on Dynamite the night before. We're going to be talking about all of that going on. Let's start, you guys. FREEMZ, get your shit in. Talk about everything going on with your Twitch and everything going on here on the tavern for you.
Yeah, man. Twitch.tv/FREEMZ. I go live immediately after we're done here. And we just go over there and get weird. I'm not sure what we're doing today, but it's probably going to be weird.
Getting weird.
It's going to be real creamy.
I mean, just creamy and weird. And apparently, I guess Tom stopped by and saw you, didn't he?
Yeah, on my birthday stream, I was drunk in a nightclub.
He was asking
in
how
VR
to get the boobies out, wasn't he?
Yeah. I was walking
Tom.
around, looking at anime cat girls with big titties and booties.
Hell yeah, okay.
And he was getting up to tomfoolery. Don't mind the pun.
Yeah, I always live by the FTBT, which is face, titty, booty, toes. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, FBTB all day. Twitch.tv/FREEMZ. Go check that out.
Yeah.
What about you, Sneeb? What's going on? Hype up what's going on, and obviously the flagship that's been going, and
we are 2 episodes away from our 100th episode of the flagship show that started it all. You can find everything that we have though at theturnbuckletavern.com. You'll find links to everything. You'll find links to TikTok. You'll find links to the Discord, all the streams, all the podcast, all the content. We're giving you guys so much free content. Just go give us a 5-star review, leave a review. That's all we ask. We're giving you so much free content. Just give us that.
Screenshot it, DM it to one of us. I have Acefield Retro stickers. I'll send you one just for example. We have our good friend Tyson in the chat here. So the Ace champion. I put some autographed Acefield champion stickers in the mail for you, Tyson. They'll be at your door probably in the next couple of days. So I do appreciate the support. You leaving those chumps at the Raw down and telling them, go screw yourself. The champ is here. That's the Ace right here. So, what else is going on? You, Nick Storm, get your stuff and talk about the ringside stuff going on for you. Hype it up.
I will. I am the Australian icon, Nick Storm, and Ringside Collectibles made that apparent when they included the code ICON at checkout. Save yourself 10%. But more importantly, go to Ringside Collectibles at checkout. Use code TAVERN to save yourself 10%. Let's be real, guys, here. And check out Fig Nights every Tuesday at 6 p.m. Eastern. We talk all about figures and stuff like that. And a young Anthony and myself are starting a new show. This is an exclusive here called Before Our Time. And it's going to be talking about we're going through every single WrestleMania chronologically. And it's going to be a fun time. So stay on the lookout for that. But yeah, you can find me, my socials everywhere here.
He's a great follow. Make sure you guys check him out. There's some fig photography. He posts figure news. He'll even interact with you. I mean, all day long. He's keeping me, getting me by, the monotony of work sometimes. He's messaging me, sending me good stuff, some memes. It's all good stuff happening on social media.
Get
Join
yourself
the Discord, guys.
Get yourself a Nick Storm t-shirt over at prowrestlingtees.com/tavern.
That's true. I should have been more of a shillbilly. Go to Pro Wrestling Tees. It'll be on the turnbuckletavern.com, surely, right?
For sure.
Yeah, go buy a Thunder from Down Under tee. Tag me in it.
Oh.
Share me in it. Mine just shipped out from Pro Wrestling Tees, so I can't wait to get mine. I'm a mark for myself. I have to. So
why
I can't
not?
wait for you guys to watch WrestleMania 2. Oh my god.
oh, is it a shit show?
It'll be a good
Just wait.
It's gonna be fun, and we're gonna rank every single match.
I can't wait for that. It's gonna be awesome, man. And thank you, young Anthony, for being in the chat with us. He was in there having some conversation. I think he was in here just saying hi. So just paying.
Yeah.
He did have a Jorts Bret Hart comment. I'm not sure if you're in here, Steve, when we're talking about Jorts Bret Hart. FREEMZ of saying that's peak Bret Hart. It's hard to argue with that.
I mean, it works for Cena.
Yeah,
yeah.
Still does.
Cena and Bret Hart, the only two United States champions to wear jorts.
Yeah,
Wow.
that's true.
You could be onto something.
You might be correct there.
Yeah, you might be.
But that being said, guys, that's all we have for you this week. I've been Acefield Retro, and for Sneed, FREEMZ, and our guest, Nick Storm, we've been the Honor Society. And as always, abide by the Code of Honor.